happy thoughts or doing something like that, it's not. Because no matter what you do, it's hard.
Let me stop you right here.
Stop having feelings.
You are talking to me like a 465-pound man at one point has never been depressed.
Oh, Wings, I think that he's talking to the show. He's talking to everybody. He's not like
No. I'm not trying to.
Yeah,
you're so vain, Wings.
Let me tell you about depression.
Wings, you got a six-pack. You're over there. You're getting bitches left and right.
No,
you're trying
fuck
to be
that
like,
shit. Fuck that shit. I get way more depressed than you do. Don't talk to me about depression.
Wait, how many of you guys try to kill yourself, huh? Gomel, bitch.
Gomel.
Depression is all in your mind. If you can't defeat yourself and overcome that shit, you're a weak person inside. I was 465 pounds. My back kills me, but I walk every day. I'm hungry all the fucking time. It's all about overcoming shit. And depression is just something you overcome. You don't let that shit get you down. All right, so what? Jordy's a 400-pound fat guy. I'm also very nice. I'm very helpful. And you know what? I'm a people person at most of the time. There's other things about me. You got to look at the positives in your life and quit fucking crying over the negatives. Depression is full of shit. It's not a disability. It's a mental handicap.
I'm not arguing for depression being labeled as a disability or anything like that. But what I'm saying is
depression should be a tax write-off. Like, honestly.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's like these fat motherfuckers trying to get write-offs for obesity. Obesity is not a disability either. Obesity is a life choice.
But here's the thing, Wings. There are times, and to be fair, we don't exactly know what Hutch went through to cause his depression. Because from my perspective, there's little I could do to prevent my own depression. Because my depression was born of post-traumatic stress disorder, which was, it's like soldiers coming back from combat. It's like soldiers coming back from combat that experienced depression because a mine went off 4 feet from their face, and they somehow survived, but all their buddies got killed. It's a very traumatic. The brain. This is all I'm saying, and I don't mean to.
I like you're using this. Like my brother had a grenade blow up in his platoon.
But how depressed we are and how bad we feel
is a mental barrier.
No, but it shouldn't be a thing that we compare it to. Like if I record something in standard definition, I want it in high definition, I'm bummed the fuck out. But I do know that there's other people that have it way worse than I do. I get it.
But Blade, here's the thing with your standard high def. You're still striving for that high def. You're not getting it today, but you're going to go for it. You're going to push through that barrier. When you're losing weight and you're a big guy and you see these programs, you've got these big guys trying to lose weight and they want to quit. They want to shut down. They're like, no, I don't want to do this. They push through that barrier. They got to push through that threshold, and that's what that trainer's telling them to do. Break yourself. And the depression is the same fucking thing. You're not physically tired, but you're mentally tired. Break the fucking depression barrier.
The trick is this. I'm down with that. Let me jump in for just a second here. When you're depressed,
you think this is your show, Woody?
So, for those who haven't watched all my videos, I also have experience with this. And when you're depressed, it's almost when you're least equipped to deal with depression, right? Wing says, you know what you need to do? Just freaking pull your pants up, put your belt on, and make a move. Like, make it happen. Get yourself out of depression. But when you're depressed, you can hardly motivate yourself to get off the couch. You're sleeping in the afternoon. And oftentimes people are depressed without good reason, right? Like, Wing says, oh, I got depressed and I was overweight and the world was pouring down on me. Lefty got depressed because he had a survivor's guilt. But there are other people with depression that is just as severe and who don't really, people write me on Mail Monday all the time and they say, look, I have loving parents who are still married. I'm doing okay in school, although my grades are dropping. I don't have any good excuse for this depression, but I cannot get out of its grip. And it's a challenge. I wish I knew the formula for getting out of its grip. I watched a Hutch video recently, and he was like, I don't know the formula for how I got out. I can tell you some things that would have made it harder if I was on Facebook. Get rid of social media. First of all, those lives you're looking at look brilliant, and they're only showing you the good parts.
I recently disabled my Facebook.
Interesting. So, actually, I meant genuinely interesting, not shut up interesting.
Okay, I know. I got that.
This is my goddamn show. You be quiet while I talk.
But yeah, so for Hutch, he found that observing other people showing the best parts and the exciting parts of their lives was something that held him back. And the negative feedback that he would get on, like maybe somebody says, Hutch, you're too tall. I picked that because it's not really a good insult, but someone might say, Hutch, you're too tall, and that could bring him down. That's one thing. For me personally, I don't really talk about this so much. One of the reasons I moved to North Carolina is that it's sunny all winter. It is. It's sunny, like even in, I don't know, February. In New Jersey in February, it's gray in the sky almost every day. And somehow my happiness, like I just need my solar batteries to be recharged all year. And down here, I get that. So that's a big deal for me.
There's no more Jaeger. I'm finished.
That's a documented issue, is it not?
It is. Yeah.
The lack of.
Hey, hold up, guys. You see Blade's face when the Keemstar said there's no more Jaeger? That was.
No, I missed it.
No, but here's the thing, Wings. I
That's depression right there.
Wings, I don't wish.
Depression, and then he's like, "Dude, did you see?"
My name is Lefty.
There's no more Jaeger. That's depression.
No, but I don't wish to categorically deny what you're implying, and that some people use depression as a crutch to get by facing real issues. There's no doubt in my mind that happens. And that happens quite a bit more than some people might want to admit. However, from somebody that has experienced clinical depression, here's what I have to... The brain is a complicated thing. It's a very, very, very complicated organism. The very fact that we, because of an organ, can have sentient thought, and thus we can be depressed by our own sentient thought is completely mind-boggling, and we still don't understand it. So all I would say is that the brain is very, very complicated, and just because there are some people that use depression as a crutch, which I do not deny, doesn't mean that everybody that says they suffer from depression does the exact same thing. There are very, very real and legitimate forms of depression.
I don't think that it's a coincidence that we were talking about microphones at the beginning of this podcast, and now we're talking about depression. I'm just saying.
I think this is pretty good. But here's what I want to do. I want to do a roundtable on how you break out of depression, and I'll start with Wings.
You gonna start with me?
Mm-hmm.
I was there trying to think of my dog argument, but the way I get out of depression is I get out this fucking room. The only time I ever get depressed is when I'm stuck in this fucking 12 by 10 death chamber. It's like a big old coffin. That's what it's like. That door just shuts, and I'm here, and it feels like my life is shut off. And when I get really depressed, I go out that rectangle right there. And that rectangle puts me back into a life like, oh, I do have people that love me. I have people that look out for me. I have people that care about me.
I don't drink beer.
I go visit my mother. I go do things like that. I get myself out of the situation that I'm in that got me depressed.
Is that rectangle your truck? Is that what you're saying?
That rectangle is the door. I used to be there. I knocked it down a couple of But there's times where I feel like this office is a coffin. I'm pretty sure you felt like that too.
Yeah. Blade, can you cut the background noise? I hear you on that too, Wings. Like, people write me a lot and ask me how to beat depression, and it's so tricky to me because I don't think what works for me, getting outside, seeing sun, lighting up relationships with real life people again, that's how I got out of depression, but I'm not sure it works for everyone.
The last bout of big depression that I had was where I used to work at. I remember going on a week vacation. I had like a 7-day vacation because it ended up falling on some weekends and stuff. And I went back. And I was so depressed. I was heavy-hearted. I actually felt like there was a weight on my heart. Like my chest just felt like somebody was sitting on it. I did not want to be there. And that's the date that I knew I had to have an exit plan.
All right, so that's a good one.
I'm not finishing this point.
I will add to it that there were days where I felt the same way about my cube, where I felt like when I parked at work, I would park in the parking lot, and then the walk into work past the dumpsters towards this 4-story tall concrete and glass building. It was just like I voluntarily put myself in prison every day, and then I'd spend my time in my cube, my little cell, and Cisco was good to me, right? I got promotions and raises faster than my peers did. My boss loved me. I would almost have my pick of the litter in projects to work on. Things were good, but I somehow didn't find joy in it anymore.
It's a place where happiness goes to die.
Yeah. So Lefty, apparently you felt depression. How do you beat it?
For me, it's a little bit tougher, because my depression was born of a traumatic event, which was me sleepwalking and jumping out of a third-story building. And this is the tough part because I don't know how to open to be in front of a wide audience that apparently primarily hates me.
It's just you and me, baby. That's it. There's nobody watching. Just man to man here.
Don't
If you want to take your clothes off and talk about it, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm sure that's what Jerry Sandusky said in the Lash building
Never down
too.
with the gay stuff.
Just want to make them feel more comfortable. That's all.
But
They're
Open
saying
up.
keep Lefty
It was-
on in the chat. Lefty's story, please.
Well, it's a long story, but long story short, I had a problem with sleepwalking when I was younger, and that eventually manifested when I was 19 years old. And in my fraternity house at college, I, in my sleep, jumped out of a third-story window, and that was very, very traumatic. A lot of traumatic injuries, etc. I talked about it on PKA before. I'm sure you can go back and listen to past PKAs. I forget what number it was. I think it was
60-something, right?
Yeah. I was on with Aviator. I know that. It was me and Aviator, and we talked about it then. But long story short, the resultant, I woke up in a hospital 2.5 days later after being taken off life support. And it was, in terms of getting over the depression, it was sort of like a mixed bag. It was a lot of change what you do, change your environment and what you do. Like you said, Woody, in terms of you felt like you were walking into a concrete and glass coffin every day. And it was sort of also, it was that, but it was also kind of just like realizing that, because unlike most people, I had to face death. And I think that's what drove a lot of it, was facing my mortality. And I think that's what a lot of people, because I don't think now I'm going to have a midlife crisis. If I have enough money, I'm not going to go buy a Mercedes when I'm 40, because I've already had it. I've already had that crisis. So I think it's a lot of facing your mortality and facing that like breaking that mold, so to speak.
Hey, just in case it makes you feel better, the couple comments recently, Lefty is awesome, Lefty heart, everyone subbed to Lefty, Woody, show me your tits. So
I got a story I want to tell.
All of the above. Woody, let's see him put him out on the table, bro.
it's not happening.
Damn it.
I got a story I want to tell, since we're pretty far into this. My mother's never going to get this far on Painkiller Already.
Nice.
All right. I want to tell you the real reason I knocked my door down. Not the one where I ran through it on Painkiller Already, but actually where I kicked it off the hinges. We're talking about depression. My brother, he is an Iraqi war vet, and he came home with a Purple Heart and all that stuff. But once he come home, he can't get a job, and it seems like everything he does fucks himself up even more and farther. I've had to pay for 2 tickets for traffic violations for him since he's came home, and he sees me, and I made a success, and he went into the Army to try to make himself a success, but he came out in the same boat he's in, living at home with his mother at 24, and, has no money. He's on unemployment, has no future, can't get a job. His friends are always dogging him when he ain't got money, and he really feels like he's a loser. Well, to help my brother through depression, to kind of help hinder depression, my brother ended up kicking a door off the hinges at my mama's house, and she told me about it. So I kicked the door off my house to help relate him, like it's something people do when they're mad at times.
Did it work?
It did help him a little bit, and I ended up taking him to a Pelicans game.
What's that?
It's a minor league baseball team for the Atlanta Braves.
Wings, as if I can just offer a bit of advice, because I don't mean to try to say that I know what your brother went through in combat, because I don't. I have no idea.
Well, he's a medic, so he's probably seen some fucked up shit.
Right, and I don't mean to try to belittle what he has experienced, and I don't mean to try to act like I know what I'm talking about, but from talking to you, and I remember you saying multiple times, like, yeah, I'm not going to be around tomorrow, I'm going to be going hanging out with my brother because I know he's back. Keep doing that. Don't falter in that. Keep letting your brother know, from somebody that has had clinical depression from post-traumatic stress. Again, I don't know that it's the same kind. I have no idea. I'm not a doctor. But just letting him know that there are people there that will care for him and love him. Don't ever, no matter what you do, let that falter. Don't do that.
Can I give a real-world opinion on this from somebody who, I'm actually diagnosed with depression, okay?
You are. Here, I thought you were the one guy who couldn't participate in the conversation. Honestly, I thought Blade's over there just freaking happy as skipping through life.
I'm actually diagnosed with depression. Like like a million things have happened to me, whatever. But you kind of reach this point. It's just like you kind of have to ask yourself, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? Like, why is like here's the thing, no matter how happy or sad you are, you're gonna get bored with whatever your situation is. So like, there could be times where I could be fucking down or whatever, and I do get fucking depressed. Like, there's some things in my life that I'm not fucking happy about, and it kind of bums me out. But at the same time, it's just like, if it was a problem that other people cared about, it'd be a solved problem. So like, I understand what people that have gone through traumatic experiences are going through. That is one type of depression. But if you're just down, it's not depression. You're just fucking down. So, like, no matter what's going on, ask yourself, who the fuck cares? Who cares?
And I think that's a...
Who the fuck cares? Like,
I think that's the worst advice ever.
How is that bad advice, though? That's the fucking best advice you can ever get.
That is a very legitimate argument. That is a very, very legitimate argument. Because, like I said earlier, there are a lot of people that use depression as a crutch.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm not saying I don't get depressed. I get depressed all the fucking time. And go ahead. Sorry.
No. It's fine. The important thing to understand is that there are forms of depression that are very, very, let's say legitimate. Okay, for lack of a better term, let's say legitimate.
Okay.
But there are also forms of depression that are kind of like, it's like, okay, you feel bad in the morning because you got to wake up early and go to your job. It's like, is that depression? Like, maybe, kind of, sort of.
I personally think that everyone, no matter what their programming is, i.e. their day-to-day routine, right? Like, let's say your day-to-day routine is you wake up and you go to work for 8 hours for a boss that you don't like, and you come home to a family life that you're not digging, okay? You may feel very bummed out. That's not depression. That's fucking life, okay? Change it. There's things that you can change. Now, there's certain things that you can't change. What you're talking about, Lefty, with post-traumatic stress syndrome, you can't really change that. There's just nothing you can do. Now, you can make strides to get past that, right?
In my world, let me jump in. I know he just talked to you, Lefty. But the reason I was like, hey, nobody cares about you is bad advice, because to me, that was like almost the opposite of what I needed. I needed to know that people did care about me. I needed to know that there was a support system around me. That's what helped me do better.
Woody, why is a group of people saying, oh, Woody, we care about you? How does that affect you?
It does. Being cared about is what makes me happy. Is what makes.
So if you had the epitome of health and you're on, I know this is a far outreach thing. If you had the epitome of health and you're on some kind of island and there's no one around you to say, hey, you're gonna live. What's your feeling? Are you depressed? Are you depressed on that island?
I'd be pretty fucking depressed.
Yeah, I don't think I would like that. I don't think I'm built to be all alone like that.
That was, by the way, that was a horrible analogy, and I apologize.
Like, fuck,
it sounded smart when I was about to say it, but it didn't come out right.
No, yeah. So, like, to me, this like happiness, this support system, this fact that having a good relationship, like with me, my wife and family and stuff like that, is a part of my sense of self-worth. So the notion that nobody cares about you is a way to beat depression doesn't fit me.
But here's the thing.
That's more the realist part. That's more the realist part, though. Like it's all good in like preschool and middle school. Like, oh, you're feeling down, give you a star. But I'm saying, like, in the real world, most people don't give a shit. And so I don't want to sell this idea that people really care. Now, your family members and your close friends do.
Let me ask you something, Blake.
Sure, what's up?
Okay. Let's say you're at the gas station filling your car up, and somebody goes, man, is that a
Instantly depressed. Instantly depressed.
No. Listen to me. Hear me out. And he goes, man, is that the Fleetwood? Mm-hmm. You go, yeah, man, those are sweet. And then he goes, gets a drink. Does that not make you feel good?
That makes you feel amazing, yes. Yes.
That's the equivalent of a gold star.
Ooh.
Point for Woody. Or no, I'm sorry, Wings. Point for Wings.
1 point to Gryffindor over there.
B-A-L-O-N.
That's why I give compliments in real life. Like, oh man, that's the Hemi, man. Those things are bad, dude. And
fuck you, Wings. Way to destroy my whole argument. That's great.
But because I know how crappy people's lives can be, The last thing you want to hear from me is like, "Oh man, Hemi, shit, that shit's weak. So get out of here."
Dude, I kind of went through that. Like when I was at the dance-on competition, and I was asking the dancer, I was like, "So, do you, as a drinker, I'm like, do you have, she's in incredible physical shape. So I'm like, do you ever like go out and like have some drinks with your girlfriends?" And she's like, "No, we don't really need that. We're all happy all the time." I'm like, "Do you ever get depressed?" Like I always want to be like, "Get depressed, bitch." Like, just knock it off. Like
what you want from her is you want to be able to relate to her. Like, yeah, she's this happy, shiny person, but there's got to be a deep skeleton in that closet.
Yeah.
You know what? My dancer was Carrington Payne, and I kept wanting to hear that she was in some sort of like Hollywood party scene. Like I kept wondering, right?
Yeah.
Like she dated I don't even know the guy's name. Troy Lautner, maybe the werewolf from Twilight.
Yeah, Lautner.
Lautner, okay, and she's not dating him anymore. But anyway, and it was just like she's in the crowd, right? She's she's beautiful. She's in Hollywood. She's a dancer. She does her thing. I wanted to hear about how she like freaking blows rock at the VIP section or something. Not the case. Not the case. She's actually, I think, a quote unquote good girl.
I hate that. Like I keep on thinking like you're gonna default or you're gonna like be normal.
She's probably suffering from like severe depression and she's hiding it. There's nobody I've ever met.
But that's us. That's us being depressed people going that we want like misery loves company. We want
misery
people
does love company, but the
that
fact
we want people to be depressed with us though. What is that?
I've never met a person that was a happy shiny person all the way through and through.
And if you did, they were on cocaine.
Except maybe Flanders, but he's a cartoon character.
Well, howdy doody, folks.
like for example, my Uncle Jerry. My Uncle Jerry is a devout Christian man. He owns his own business. He has his own horse ranch and stables. He goes to church every Sunday and Wednesday night. He has done nothing wrong in the last 35 years. But before he did all that, he smoked marijuana and he was a wife beater.
That took a turn I didn't expect.
Yeah,
when he found Jesus, he seen the error in his ways and that kind of thing, and it turned his life around.
But people, here's the flip side to the coin that we've been talking about. There are a lot of people that use anything they can find as crutches and rationalizations for their actions, whether it be an addiction to something like a drug or a cocaine, or a lack of Jesus, or a lack of Buddha, a lack of Allah, whatever it be. There are, sad as it may be, people that just try to capitalize to explain their own discrepancies on things that are legitimately, bad or.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of religion, but if someone finds religion means that they live a better life and they don't beat women and they did before, I may not agree with the religion, but it's a fucking positive thing that they're not beating women anymore.
That is very good. Yes.
Religion is a tool. That's what it is. Just like it's a tool to win votes, it's a tool to do everything else. If this is the tool or the story that you need to make yourself a better person, go for it.
I'm all for it. Thank you.
You know what we call that? You know what we call what Wings just did in the business? We call that full circle in a broadcast. We call that full circle because we let off PKA with Wings talking about the Mormons coming to his house, and now he just brought it up again.
We started talking about microphones, and then we talked about how Jesus spoke to us.
I mean, Jesus might not work for me, but it might work for somebody else. I mean, like...
I saw what Wings did. First we talk about microphones, and then we talk about how Jesus spoke to us. Next we'll talk about speakers.
Woody, has this been the deepest PKA ever? Has this been pretty deep in your experience?
Has
it been pretty deep?
All right.
It's not